Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's once again time for the WADcast, episode number 64. This is the Writers, Actors, Directors podcast, where we talk about all those things and everything a part of a set in between when it comes to production stuffs. I am one of your people that talks, Josh, and joining me all the way from Los Angeles, California.
What is up, everybody? Good to be back for the first time in a month. We took a nice little break from everything for a hot minute, just to recharge, reformat a few things.
We took
Josh,
a
would you like
holiday.
we took all the day. We did. Oh God, my British accent's atrocious.
Yeah.
Oh man. It's like a British guy got smacked in the head with a 2x4. So Josh, how's your month been? As if you and I have not been speaking with each other this whole past month. Actually, we have not spoken that much compared to usual because we both had so much stuff going on. But would you like to fill people in on what's been going on with you?
Nothing. Okay, stuff, but stuff. How do I put this? You might recall I said I was acting in a short film from friend of the show and friend in real life, Henry R. Nader. And 2 days ago, that was released to the world.
Oh.
So yes, Disunity is now available to view. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw the link in the comments here. I think I did that wrong. I don't know what I'm doing. Because that is a lot of links for
lot of links, yeah.
Oh, it's automatically sharing to everything. So yeah, I keep forgetting. We are now streaming live on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. So wherever you're watching this, hey, what's up? Those are the links to the short film that I was acting in. Hope you enjoy it. I got a good chuckle. Which helps because it's a comedy. So,
and that's good. This is the first time I've seen these links too. So I'm excited to see this.
Really,
been out for 48.
I've shared
been up for 48 hours, and you never sent anything to me. It's cool.
Yeah, I posted directly to Semicore and the WADcast and all those things. But I know you've been busy working 50 hours a day.
Feels like it. Yeah, it's when you have coworkers that ask why you're not sleeping, you're busy. I've been doing a lot. I've been working on a few projects. Careful not to overwhelm myself with projects, but I'm working on a script where I want you to act in. I'm not going to divulge too much here. And it's going to be a script that requires filming in Los Angeles and filming in Jacksonville, Florida, where I'll be directing you via Skype, Zoom, however we decide to do it. So it's like I'm excited about this, especially considering the content of the story. But aside from that, Bad Agent, series that you and I have been working on, it has now. Oh, and I've got to send this out to Brian. a list of the contests. It's been entered in at this point 7 contests. So the whole script that you and I worked on, the full web series that Brian helped us write. I like the short film. All of it's been entered into like 7 different contests, depending on what the parameters were that the criteria that they wanted. Along with working on a feature-length version of one of my own scripts, Infectocalypse. So it's like I've been doing a lot of stuff where it's just been on top of working like 12 to 16 to sometimes 18-hour shifts. I've just been loaded. My schedule has been like almost, God, I don't even know the word to describe it other than just
busy.
Barely manageable. Sleep when I can get it. So, but yeah, I am excited that we're back on the show though, because like this show's always been like a way for us to really just hang out and unwind after an entire week. Now, I will say this, everybody, we have come up with a new format with our show.
Mm-hmm.
We are no longer going to be pre-planning topics to discuss. And I know that I mentioned this to a few people that listen to us, and they're thinking like, well, how do I know what you guys are going to be talking about? I'm like, that's the thing. You don't, because we don't. Most of what me and Josh do, like when we have our topics and we have our talking points ready to go, and oh, hi, Mom. When we have our talking points and our pointers and everything else ready to go, we are on our game. And it's very professional. And I do enjoy those episodes, but as busy as things get at times, where Josh and I are able to come on here with no plan, no nothing, and just discuss things that are of importance to us, that's where we are truly able to unwind. And I did not discuss this with you yet, Josh, but I know that my vulgarity knows no bounds. I try so hard to control it, and it's almost impossible to do. It's just like so subconscious that I just naturally have the mouth of a sailor that retired and became a trucker. So I need to work on these things. I really do need to work on these things.
Mm-hmm.
So that being the case, while I am on at least the WADcast, I will do my very best. As anyone that listens to our show knows, I'm allowed 1 F-bomb per episode. I'm going to challenge myself to not even use that 1 F-bomb.
That doesn't mean you get to save them up, right?
You don't tell me what to do. But no, I get it. I mean, it's not like I'm investing in F-bombs here. Like I'm like, hoarding them for the winter. Like I'm going to use them in the vulgarity stock market. No, I'm actually going to try my best to not be as vulgar. And so it's one of those deals. Now, when we have like our special guests on the show, if they swear, curse, and everything else, you know what? I might partake. I'm only a social drinker after all. So if someone else is having a drink, I might try. I might have a drink with them. But I don't go out and get plastered by myself.
Right.
Cursing is the polar opposite. I love to swear. I enjoy it. It's just rolls off the tongue. But along with the modified format, my swearing is going to come to a damn near halt. Aside from the words that you would hear in like PG movies or PG-13 movies. And of course, PG-13 movies, you can have that 1 F-bomb. I'm going to try to keep it below that most times. But yeah, new music. I do like the music selection, Josh. That was actually very Sue, I'm a liar. Welcome to the show, Sue. It's always a pleasure to have you on here. But it's one of those deals where your music, I love the new music. Would you like to discuss more about this new format that we're doing with the show?
Sure, but before I get into that, just for clarification, the swearing and F-bombs aren't limited because I'm some sort of prude or we're worried about, you know, demographics or anything like that. It's more to do with, I'd like to say, impact.
Yes.
Because once you hear it dropped, like, you know, I hear people use it as a comma. Anytime they have to pause, it's boom, F bomb. And
Is it a little lonely up there on that pedestal for you, Josh?
it is. But I would like to think that when we get to such intense language that it should be like pow, you know?
Yes.
So just throwing it out there, that's kind of why, the swearing is attempting to be limited. Now, oh, and by the way, no judgment about how anybody, speaks in their day to day, because yeah, yeah, when
Yeah.
when no one's around, I'm Brandon, you know what it's like when my kids aren't around.
No, I don't, because you still are so much better at like holding back than I am. Listen, out of the two of us, you are very much like the okay. If we're to compare ourselves to like characters, let's say Jay and Silent Bob, I am absolutely 100% Jay, or even better, Dante and Randall. You're always going to be Dante.
But I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Like I just the things I say, and that's the other thing. One of my friends said that I'm trying to go woke. I'm like, no, well, no, I'm not trying to go. I don't give a shit about woke culture. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm not PC. I I know how bad my sense of humor is. I have to control it.
Thank you,
Like
sir.
I have no lines. Um, but it's just like it's one of those deals where there's a time and place for things, and where you and I are talking about things that are of importance to us. I think it's where I need to sincerely tone down. Now, I may drop an F bomb out of excitement or out of frustration towards a topic. I'm not saying I'm never going to use the F bomb again. It's going to come out. It's inevitable.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, the F bomb to me is my Thanos. It is always inevitable. But that being the case, though, it's like when we talk about things on the show, we talk about things that we're very passionate about.
Hmm.
Even topics that we don't like to talk about, we talk about them.
No, stuff that makes us very
Um,
uncomfortable.
yeah, yeah. I mean, for those of you that might have missed it, like that movie Cuties that came out last year, we watched this movie just so we could discuss it. We were uncomfortable watching the movie, and we were actually kind of uncomfortable even talking about it. But
Yeah.
we discussed it because it is a piece of art, whether someone likes it or not. That was that I felt needed to be discussed. So, but yeah, so it's like that being the case. There's a time and place for things, and my behavior, where I am like in the public eye, or I guess like not public eye, but like where I'm really trying to talk about something that I'm passionate about. I have to be aware of how I come off. So that's pretty much, and that's not something that like Josh and I have both discussed. It's something that I feel I need to work on myself. So that's all there is to it. But that being the case, um, is there anything you want to add to this before we get into the show? Josh?
Well, I will explain what exactly brought us to where we are as far as formatting goes. Because for a long time, we would pick a topic and that would be the topic for the show. The only problem with this kind of hmm, plan is with guys like us. And by the way, throwing up a comment from Sue here. Yes, we need to monitor ourselves simply because we are writers and in the industry. Yeah,
And
absolutely
that's something
correct.
I absolutely, yeah, I completely agree with that.
And yeah, again, hey Sue, she was actually there when we did the marketing episode of
Yeah, of cuties. Yeah, yeah. When we discussed the marketing, you know, brilliant or horrific. So yeah, she was on. She was our guest on that episode.
So Sue, knows what it's like on this side, what we go through when we start a topic and then suddenly 10, 15 minutes into it, we're going off on a completely different tangent. And it's fun. It's great. I believe it was Craig Miller that said this is a conversational podcast. Not talking about the WADcast, of course, but his own work. I could be wrong though, but the point is the idea of letting a conversation go where it goes has always been appealing to me. But when we pre-advertise a specific topic and when we start going on our tangents and have to somehow find a way to bring ourselves back on track, it can feel a little unnatural at times. So the idea is just get rid of the track.
Absolutely.
We'll have things we want to talk about, and then we'll talk about them and see where that topic leads us. So that's what we're doing now.
And honestly, I think that's a very, very good approach. And I've got to say, this is all like the reformatting in that light was Josh's idea, and I jumped on board like instantly.
We both can't have our mics muted, man.
Sorry,
Doesn't work.
I was muting mine because I'm running my car, and you've heard how this neighborhood sounds when I'm on the show. See, you're behind your desk at your house in your office. With me, I
Singapore
use my
Studio
phone.
One.
Yeah, I use my phone. So that being the case, it is portable. So when I go to do something, if I just step outside for a second, I live in Los Angeles, guys. Okay, police helicopters, air traffic of all sorts, EMS sirens. It's just people revving their engines, people having mopeds with loud ass mufflers. It is a common and daily occurrence for me out here. So it's really hard to find a quiet space. And even the Starbucks out here, where I can go sit down and caffeinate while I'm on the show. The libraries aren't even quiet here. And of course, by the time I do the show, they're closed. So it's really hard. And even with all my doors and windows closed and the AC taking care of the circulation, guess what? There's no silence because you hear everything. So that's why. Sorry, that's why I muted the mic. But yeah, so there we have it, guys. That is why we have a different kind of format currently for this show. So yeah, Sue's on her patio. But so yeah, it's like that's where the formatting's coming from. Very much a mutual decision, and like I said, I couldn't wait to come on board when Josh mentioned it, because trying to find a list of things about any one topic, I usually know more about something than what I'm talking about off the top of my head. I may have a few points askew, but if I'm wrong, I have no problem correcting myself and accepting that I was wrong about something. You see that, society? You can learn from me. Misinformation is a bitch. I don't like it. But yeah. So that being said, shall we move on to the topics session of our podcast tonight?
Now that we have all the idle chit chat out of the way, sure, why not?
Okay.
I'll go ahead and get things kicked off here, because I'm going to start with a couple of things that I've watched over the last week or so. The first thing I watched was Squid Game.
Yep.
Now, normally I am definitely not the guy that jumps on bandwagons. I still have yet to see an episode of Lost. Wait, no, I did see the first episode because
Never saw a single one.
I was just hanging out with the kids, 12-year-olds. Like, I want to watch something. I wanted to have a little bit of mystery. I was like, well, I've never seen Lost. I guess we could watch that. And about halfway through it, she's like, no. And I'm thinking, yeah, I get it. So, yeah, turned it off. I've seen one episode of Game of Thrones. And I keep getting told, you only saw one episode. You have to give it more. It's like, yeah, but it's not, fantasy, dragons and whatnot. That's not my bag to begin with. I'm not that kind of nerd. I'm
Yeah.
a sci-fi nerd.
It's okay. I gave it 4 episodes and I was done.
You're a bigger man than me.
Yeah. Well, in all fairness, I thought watching at least 4 episodes was going to get me laid.
God, I wish you were joking. But
the all-new family-friendly WADcast, everybody.
But I saw Squid Game, before it was released with the promotional material. I'm like, this looks interesting, and I just hadn't gotten around to watching it. Maybe that's a little bit hipster of me to say, but the idea of basically it's a battle royale, right? A bunch of people enter, until there's only survivor left, whatever. It's been done a lot. Like I said, we've seen it in Battle Royale. I want to see an adaptation of Stephen King's The Long Walk, which is...
that would be amazing.
And from what I understand, what's his face? The guy that does The Thing and the directing did Shawshank.
Oh God.
And The Green Mile.
I know who you're talking about. I'm trying to think.
And The Walking Dead, first season.
God, drawing a blank. And I'm on my phone. If I go look this up, I'm going to get kicked out of the chat. So
let's see. Shawshank Redemption, directed
Ron Howard
by Frank Darabont. And I thought I did some research a while back, and apparently Frank Darabont has the rights to The Long Walk, and has for years. I don't know if he still does or if I just dreamed that. But and the Hunger Games being probably the previous most popular version of this type of storytelling. I'm just a fan of that type of story. Playing games, people dying. It can get really intense. But the thing is, if you're doing a battle royale type story, and in the case of the Hunger Games, you don't care about the characters, and that's me. Death means nothing. You're kind of apathetic about the goings on of what's on screen. And the thing about Squid Game is within minutes you have some sort of emotional bond with so many characters, whether it's a love thing, a hate thing, or what have you. They paced it to the point of being able to flesh out these tons of people, and make you care. When a good guy succeeds, you're like, yeah. And when a bad guy succeeds, you're like, oh, that jerk.
You know what drew me to Squid Games was not even the premise of the show. or even all the hype that it was receiving, because it was getting a lot of hype on Netflix. I mean, I think it's still number one right now in the top 10. It's gotten a lot of hype. What drew me to it was the history of the series itself. And I mentioned that I spoke with you about this earlier today. Oh God, I think the creator's name is Hwang Dong-hyuk. I don't know how to pronounce his name, so to all of our Korean listeners, I apologize if I just butchered his name. But I respect him. I have a great swell of respect for this man because he does what I tell people, and like in the screenwriter networking, filmmaking groups and all that stuff that I'm in on Facebook, and I see people getting just like really down and out about something because they wrote like, I guess, their masterpiece. And oh, do we know someone that's going to buy this? Do we know how to sell this? Do we know anyone that wants to buy this? So, like, yada yada yada. You see the same stuff all the time in these groups, which is fine. Asking a question, there's only one of the worst that you can hear is no. It's not going to kill you. But he had this series made, I think, since like 2008, 2009, maybe earlier. I'm not too sure, but he's had this around for well over a decade, and he was just shopping it around, getting turned down left and right, but he stayed on it. And eventually it got made. Now, I don't know if Netflix footed the bill for it to get made, or if it was made just like, and then Netflix picked it up. I'm not too sure. But it is an amazing I guess TV series. I guess, I mean, I thought it was only going to be like a mini series, but apparently it's going to be multiple seasons. But I have a lot of respect for that gumption, like his strive to get it done. Like, he had this idea, this passion, and just really chopped at it for, oh God, years, and it got done. And that's very much what it takes. Like, I mean, you remember where I was 10, 11 years ago, where I was getting steady work in screenwriting before I started working on everything else. That took years for me to get to that point. I would not trade what I did ever in my life, because I got to spend some time with my grandparents, not focus on that rush, and spend their final years with them. I have no regrets over that time that I lost doing it. But people get discouraged. Screenwriting is not, like, most people that try to attempt screenwriting, they fail, and they never do anything more with it. They go safe. This guy, he busted his ass, and this project got done, and it is the number one spot in the top 10 of Netflix, and has been for the last couple, I think, like the last 2 weeks now. I respect the hell out of that. And it has gone on to get a second season greenlit. I think like 1 or 2 more seasons have been greenlit already. You really have to respect that persistence, that drive. And no, speaking of which, Susan, yeah, persistence is key. Absolutely. You can doubt yourself. You can absolutely doubt yourself. That's fine. You are always going to be your own worst critic, and you need that critic. But don't get lost in that criticism. Don't think so badly about yourself that you're going to just cave in. Be hard on yourself in the right ways, to the right extent, and just get back to it. So, and that's what drew me into Squid Games, and I loved every second of that show. I got sucked into it. So,
I thought, not to be, I don't want to say I'm being nitpicky, but all of the Korean actors, their performances were absolutely epic.
yeah.
And then they brought in the Americans. No spoilers, but
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh wow, this is not great.
No, we are the worst.
But from what I understand, and I was reading some commentary from people around the internet, and the idea is in Korean productions, um, American actors, especially ones that are going for less known projects, right? You kind of take what you can get. But in another thread that I was reading, there was this dialogue between two people. I don't remember it verbatim. I wish I'd saved it, to be honest. That the American characters in a lot of K dramas are often not great, and that's just a thing. So whether it is or whether it isn't, I'm not sure. This is the only real Korean thing that I've had TV wise that I've seen and watched Parasite, loved it. Simpsons just did a spoof of it on this year's Treehouse of Horror. Yes, Simpsons is still doing Treehouse of Horrors.
Of Parasite or of Squid
Parasite.
Games? Okay. I was going to say Squid Games just came out. Like I can't imagine them already having that done unless they did like South Park style.
Yeah, they're definitely not doing things South Park style.
But I'm sure South Park will pick up on Squid Games like soon enough.
I'm surprised it hasn't already, but their release schedule is so weird these days.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that I watched. I like you said, I absolutely loved every moment because at least even with the Americans' less than stellar performances, it all added something to the story.
Yeah.
There was not a wasted character. There was not a wasted moment. Everything was driving the story forward, whether you knew it or not at the time. Because sometimes, while you're watching it, in real time, you're thinking, I don't get it. But like anything that has a reveal, this does that. You know, it makes you go, oh, especially certain parts where if you are even slightly familiar with what it takes to, come put a production together, which if you're listening to this, probably you do. If you're anywhere near familiar with things like that, and you start going, why would they do this shot for this character? And then something would happen later where you're like, because they wanted to hide. Right, right. So very much a class in this is what you're supposed to do when you put together a show if you're paying attention.
Yeah.
And I got lucky. I gotta be honest, I got lucky. I got very lucky because not only did I watch Squid Game and just was like, yes, more of this, please.
Are you going to get into the show that I recommended to you?
And I'm going to get into the show that everybody recommended to me, but yes, Brandon, you were at the forefront of recommending it to me. And 3 days ago, I saw that Apple TV was an app available on PlayStation. So I said, you know what? They have a free trial. I'm going to, go ahead and see what the fuss is about because
I sent you my password.
no, you didn't.
Oh my god. Fine, I'll send you my login and password.
You said you were, but you didn't.
I'm bad at following through. Go ahead, though. Anyway, go ahead.
They had signed the new deal with Jon Stewart. The problem with Jon Stewart, his new show, which I have yet to watch. It's the whole reason that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to check this out because I used to love the Daily Show with Jon Stewart. That was my jam. And I think the Daily Show with Trevor Noah is still good, but
It's not
with
the
Jon
same.
Stewart, it was such a grand thing.
Now, Jon Stewart, I thought he was much better at the Daily Show than Trevor Noah could ever even attempt to be.
Well, nobody can be Jon Stewart. That's the thing. And that's why when Jon Stewart announced his return to social commentary, we'll say, I was like, okay, let's see what he's got. Let's see what this dude's been up to. Because if you've been paying attention to Jon Stewart at all over the last few years, he's been doing things like advocating for victims of 9/11 and firefighters and doing everything he can to kind of help them out.
A lot of
There's
dirty work, yeah.
yeah, he's been putting in the work. Then some things that are a little odd, but that's not the topic. So, and now I want to watch the morning show. I've yet to start that, but I not only started watching on a Wednesday and finished on a Thursday. I loved Ted Lasso.
Absolutely. Like that show is absolutely amazing. And I got recommended that by an actress I directed for a series last summer. She compared when I explained the premise of Bad Agent to her. She compared it to Ted Lasso. And I never heard of the show. I'm sorry, no, I've heard of it rather. I've never seen an episode of it at that point. And so I watched it, and that's why I'm just like I've not shut up about it to you since, because I was just like so blown away by it. And of all people, Jason Sudeikis, like the way that he plays this character, because I only know him as being like this really funny kind of character in his movies, but to see him play the character of Ted Lasso and his relationship with all the characters and the growth of all the characters throughout the series, I watched the show thinking like, this is the kind of stuff that I want to write.
Yeah, I would hope anybody that wants to write television looks at this and thinks, this is it. This is what it's all about. Character growth, character development. Every single primary character on this show is amazingly written. Now, Ted is a Jason Sudeikis character from the accent to his mannerisms. It's what you expect from Jason Sudeikis, right? But that's when he's in full Ted mode, where he is being a cordial fella that everybody likes to be around. No matter who you are, he appreciates you.
Yeah, I mean, he is an actual leader character in the show. Like, he is what a leader should be.
But then he puts in these performances about.
1 second, Justin. I'm sorry, Sue. Thank you for joining the show. I'm sad to see you leave, but go ahead and we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you later on. So just go ahead.
He puts in these performances of Ted Lasso being not, the perfectly well put together guy that, everybody seems to think he is. And there's just so much depth to not only the character, but the actor portraying him. And as soon as I watched it, the Emmy Awards just made sense.
No, yeah.
Like, yeah, 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 definitely.
Well, I
This
mean, to be fair, it's like, one of the showrunners is Bill. I think the showrunner is Bill Lawrence, known from Scrubs, Cougar Town, and a few other things. But I mean,
Scrubs, another show where every character gets, a spot in the limelight.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. You have to, like, I mean, if you're going to go all in on a show, like say you and I made Bad Agent a series, right? Just in make believe land. I get Bad Agent out there, and we end up making a full series off this show. And it's a half-hour series, and a network picks it up, and now I've got to come up with these episodes. Every character has to have growth. They have to have a relationship with each other somehow, even if it's indirectly. Like, I mean, that's it, and that's what Ted Lasso and Scrubs and all that. That's what they do. Like, all these characters have relationships, and each relationship evolves. Ted Lasso, what I love about the writing is the fact that even if he's just interacting with just say like another character, another actor, that's not a main staple of the show. None of the soccer players, none of the administrative staff or anything like that, and his family, any of them. If he just runs into, like, say, someone making his coffee, the way the show is written, it's done the right way. It is written to where even that barista feels like they are the center of their own story. So each interaction that he has with another character, there's like, do you see what I'm saying? There's some kind of drive there for the other character, which enhances that relationship, which I think is amazing and very well done in the show, in the writing.
And not to put any spoilers in it, but that feeling is a very big story point. How he makes people feel. And God, I never thought I would fall so hard. And for those of you that are, regular listeners of anything Semicore Studios puts out, you've heard the Matt and Josh Make Lists show, and the first and so far only episode has been about our favorite TV sitcoms.
Yep.
And Matt from Matt and Josh Make Lists and I were talking, and he said, "Oh, was it good?" I'm like, "Was it good? Was it good?" He asks. He says, "I've been meaning to watch it. I just, don't have Apple TV." And that's good as reason as any, But when I said, I'm fairly positive this now falls into the top 5, he was like, "Whoa,
yeah,
I'm gonna have to look at it."
Ted Lasso is probably like it's right there, like as you said, my top 5 TV shows. And being that I'm not a big proprietor of TV shows,
yeah, you
you
hate
my
TV.
list. How was that?
Said you hate TV, not because of what it is, but because of it's time investment and character investment, and sometimes things get canceled.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, and again, like the last TV show I really got into was probably
My Name is Earl.
Like, no, I've only seen a handful of those episodes. I never even got into that show, and I like Jason. I love Jason Lee, but no, it's like the last show I got into from a very premiere episode. It wasn't a great show, but Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles. I was just sucked into that show. It's just so stupid, but I was pissed when they the finale. I think in the second or third season, I think it ran for only 2 seasons actually.
Something like that. Yeah.
But either way, so like the season finale where it left off on was where John Connor got sucked into a time portal into the future. I'm like, oh my god, okay, well, Sarah Connor, she's getting arrested. All this stuff's going down. Where's this going to go? I can't wait till the next season. And then it just never happened. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So what do we get from there? Terminator Genesis. That was, true. Like, but so it's like I don't really get in TV shows. That was like the straw that broke the camel's back. That was a final nail in the coffin for me with watching TV shows from the beginning. But you know what? Bill Lawrence has a track record. Once Sharon told me about Ted Lasso, I did a little reading on it. I saw Bill Lawrence on there. I saw that Zach Braff directs a few episodes. I'm like, you know what? Okay. Scrubs was threatened to be canceled numerous times, and it was canceled. It moved to networks. It was a huge nightmare for Bill Lawrence and the cast and crew. But it played out to completion, and then the studio, of course, ordered a spinoff, which then they tried to pass off as season 9. I don't even count that one. No one ever should in my mind. But it won so many Emmys. That show was hysterical, but it would always almost inevitably make you cry at some point, or at least like pull at the heartstrings somehow, no matter how cold of a bastard you are. And I see a lot of that in Ted Lasso. And I saw it from the very first episode. And the first season, guys, if you've not seen the show, I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but it gets so heart-wrenching. But you still come away from each episode like, actually, oddly enough, like kind of smiling, because the way they end some of these episodes is just so fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, and like, the season finale for the first season, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it involves a game of darts. And this speech that Ted gives to his opponent, it's just, it was just such a great scene. It was beautifully written. And you see by this point, everything that Ted Lasso throughout the whole season has worked towards, where he comes into England as a joke. No one believed in him. To, by the end of the season, people that absolutely hated him have nothing but love and respect for him. And Josh, like me, you got to be there with me, man, when that reporter in the first season, who is known to tear people a new one and destroy them.
Yeah.
He starts off talking about Ted Lasso being this joke. He's out of his league. And I think one of the lines that he says in his article, that usually like a bashing article, he says that even though he thinks that Ted Lasso will fail, he's not going to make fun of him. Because he can, despite everything going against him, he can't help but root for him. Like, my God, I'll say this right now. When they started that, because they start with this one character reading it to his boss who wants him to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it gets, and like all the harsh things, if you've noticed this, Josh, this is what I loved about this writing, all the harsh critiques in this article are read by the employee. But then once it gets to the more serious and profound moments of this article, it switches over to the journalist's voice. So you hear that this is actually, these words are coming from this man himself. That's how much this man adores Ted Lasso. So yeah, it's like, it's such a great show. Oh my God. People, if you've not seen it, I cannot recommend this enough to you. I don't, like Josh said, I hate television. I hate it. You got to really, really, really wow me with something. Sons of Anarchy, I got into it. In the last 2 seasons, I got into it, but then I binged everything altogether. But Breaking Bad, same thing. Mayans MC, haven't really got into it yet, but I'm working on it. But Ted Lasso, I put everything aside on my schedule to make sure I watch season 2. That's how much I like the show. For me to move my schedule around just to watch a TV show, that's a lot. Lord knows I don't have the time to do that.
If you're looking for a show that will manipulate your emotions, Ted Lasso is it. Because there's going to be people on the show that you absolutely despise and people that you absolutely love, and it's going to
Yeah.
make you feel all sorts of different ways about them as the series goes on.
Yeah, there will be people that you absolutely despise at first that you grow to love, and people that you absolutely love at first that you grow to despise.
And the other way around.
I just said it both ways.
Yeah, I'm just reiterating.
And there are people that you despise that you will always despise, and people that you will love from the beginning that you will continue to love. Coach Beard, for come on, man.
Season 2, episode 9. I'm not going to say anything about it other than that was possibly the most amazing television episode that I've ever seen.
And it's a great way to have a supporting character have an episode to themselves, and really still, without the main cast involved, drive the series.
I wish we had a Ted Lasso spoiler cast because I could watch that series again today and still go through the same roller coaster ride of love and hate and there is no apathy with the characters on this show.
No.
Roy is Roy.
I love Roy so much.
Talk about somebody that might have a problem being on the WADcast.
There's actually. Oh shit! Sorry, one second. There it is. That's what it's to do. Sorry, I pulled the earbud out of my ear here. There's a line. There's in the. I think the. Oh, God. There's this member of the crew, Nate. That he's like this mousy character. From the very first episode you meet him, he's very shy, very timid, not respected at all by the players. And not respected by the players at all, not remotely.
The water boy, essentially.
Basically, yeah. And Ted takes a very, very big liking to him. So there's this one scene where he comes up with a list of critiques. This is the only spoiler I'm going to give on the show, but it's all related to writing.
Hold on. If you're not interested in spoilers, just mute the show now. I'm throwing up the spoiler ticker, and you'll be able to unmute when the ticker is down. So it's up. Hit the mute.
Okay.
Brandon, 3, 2, 1, spoilers.
Okay, so it's not really a spoiler. In my mind, it's not really a spoiler. But the thing is still, there's this one scene where he has a list of critiques for the players on the team, and he gives it to Ted, and Ted's like, "I'm not gonna read this." Well, why not? Because you are. So he sends Nate into this bullpen in the locker room with all the players on, during their, I guess halftime. I don't know how that works with soccer. I don't watch it, so there's 3 quarters in, 3 periods in soccer, I guess. 2. Okay, there's 2. So I guess halftime. So either way, so he gets this critique, and he goes in there and he's telling all these players where they're falling short. But he's doing it the most brutal way, but brutal honesty. Go
ahead.
The one guy is like,
say the one guy face.
Yeah, but it's the one guy says, Do you shave your pubic hair? What? No. Then why are you playing like a Brazilian? But he goes up to Roy, and Roy's like this angry player. He's not a nice person. He's just tall, dark, mysterious kind of player. Doesn't really like anybody or anything. Nate brings up this paper. Roy, and he's like, Roy. Roy stands up and walks right over to him, just towering over this little guy. Nate brings up the paper, and Roy rips the paper out of his hands and says, "Don't read it. You say it to my face." And then he tells him, like, your anger. And he was like, you're old. You're old. You're slower. It's like, you've lost whatever you had. And when you first started, you're angry. And he says this one line: you used to run like you were angry at the grass. And like that line hit him like, holy shit. Like, okay. I didn't see who wrote that episode, but I see you now. All right. And he just goes on. But he says, we need you to be angry. And after this talk with Roy stares at him. You don't know if he's going to punch the guy or what. But Roy, this like absolute bastard of a character in the first season, all the way up until this point, doesn't do anything. He turns around, he grabs a hold of like one of these benches that's bolted into the floor, and he starts growling, and everyone just instantly just runs away from the bench. Like, just gone. Like, pew, And he growls and he roars and he rips this bench up, and he turns around. He got like the veins bulging out of his neck and his forehead. He was like, all right, let's go kill him. Like, and it's like at that point you saw these players really, they started respecting Nate. And it's all thanks to, Ted Lasso being who he is in that series. So you have this one central character whose charm and positive vibes and everything else is, I guess, like best way to put it, his humanity that he has towards everyone. It rubs off on them. And it sounds kind of like, it sounds, I guess, like dull explaining it that way, but it's just the way that they execute it. My God, guys! There's no more spoiler stuff, so I'm not going to say anything else. You can turn the notice off. But it's amazing. It really is.
Just a show about a character that makes everybody around him better.
Yeah. Well, kind of. Season 2 is kind of,
Hey, I took down the spoiler tag, so shut your face.
That one son of a bitch. But even then, like, you see like the relationships between like these other players that can't stand each other, but they gradually actually kind of become friends. So it's just, I mean, I can't say enough about this show. I like, this is now 7:57, and you and I have just been about this show for the last like half hour now. I will say there's one thing that I unexpectedly got Danielle into. Danielle hates DC. She can't stand DC. But I know she likes her cartoons. No, I haven't been able to get her into any of the DC cartoons. But of all cartoons that I got her into, it was Harley Quinn. I don't know if you've seen any of those episodes or not.
No.
Oh, my God. All right, I'm going to, when we get done with the show, I'm going to send you the password for Apple, so you don't have to worry about the whole payment for that, because, I'm not going to have you. I've leased off of your Hulu for years. So least I can do is get you onto my Apple and get you onto my HBO Max as well.
Well, I get HBO Max for free through my cell phone provider. Or is it my internet provider?
Well, la-di-da.
One of those two. So, yeah, HBO Max I have. It's not going anywhere.
Okay, well, Harley Quinn. I got her into this. And, I got her into this through showing her a clip from the second season. And, guys, this clip's been all over Facebook and other areas. So, it's not really a spoiler. It's Harley Quinn, for Christ's sake. There's a scene where she's fighting off a few bad guys, and she's like in this tech lab. This is the clip that got Danielle into watching the show. But you have Harley Quinn. She like just randomly picks up this gun and she shoots somebody. It's just like a beam of light hits a guy. And it's like, what did that do? She's like, I don't know. And it looks down and it says cancer ray on it. And the guy's the other goon looks at his buddy and says, Oh no, Charlie, I'm so sorry. Harley Quinn, you gave me cancer? She's like, what? No, oh my God, who would make this? Like, this is too evil even for her. It's like, I gotta go. I gotta go spend time with my wife and kids. And as he's running out, like Harley Quinn looks at him, he's like, I'm so sorry. So I showed Danielle this clip, and now we are like in like a period of like 2 days, which is still a lot of my time. We got through the first season. I think we're like 3 episodes into the second season. Like just plowing through it. And she's asking me about these characters like Clayface. Is Clayface always this dramatic? I'm like, well, no, they kind of changed these personalities of these characters a lot for the show. So it's cool that she's asking about these things. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, I'll explain these characters to you. Clayface was this. Let me show you his origins and whatever else. So I'll show him like where Clayface came from Batman the animated series. She's like, yeah, I like this Clayface better because it's like really like goofy. It's like, I guess the Teen Titans movies, like the animated movie, versus the show Teen Titans Go. Harley would be like the Teen Titans Go kind of storytelling, but like a rated R version of it. It's graphic, it's gory, it's profanity laced,
Okay.
but it's hysterical. It's absolutely hysterical. So aside from that, I've just been watching a whole bunch of since I don't really get the time to really watch anything. I saw the season premiere of the series premiere of Chucky.
How was that?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm excited to see where this season goes. I don't know if it's going to be something that turns into a actual television series. I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of stories you can tell with Chucky, but how many can you really tell with Chucky? I mean, it's going to be the same thing over and over again. But this is a continuation from the movie franchises, where not the remake with Mark Hamill voicing the doll. It's Brad Dourif reprising his role as Chucky. But let's see. You have all the movies going up to Cult of Chucky, and then you have this show, which is a follow-up to Cult of Chucky, where there's Chucky, Charles Lee Ray breaks his soul up into various different dolls. So I think that's where this one's going. But so yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna have to get a membership to Sci-Fi so I can watch the rest of the series, because the first episode dropped for free on YouTube.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I'll post a link for the first episode on our WADcast page after the after our show's over. But if you're not a Chucky fan, of course, no one's going to twist your arm to watch it. But if you're a Chucky fan, I would recommend it. It's a slow burner episode, but once Chucky starts being himself, my God, man, it is a callback to everything that makes Chucky awesome. Like, I couldn't stop laughing once he actually started being himself again. So there's a great scene where Chucky is up there pretending to be a ventriloquist doll for the kid who he's hijacking, I guess, at a middle school. And it is how you would expect Chucky to talk to a crowd of people. Like, it wasn't good. But yeah, that's really all I've gotten into. I mean, Ted Lasso is something I've been into for a while. But like Squid Games, watch that. I had some administrative work I had to do for a few nights, so I was able to watch Squid Games while I did my work. But everything else, yeah, like just when I can watch it. But I miss all the writing and illustrating a children's book now. There's not a whole lot of free time that I have to really watch TV or new movies or anything like that. Halloween Kills, I'm looking forward to that one.
Amber in the chat says, hi, guys.
Hey, Amber. Amber, welcome to the show.
Now, I will say, last weekend, I did go see No Time to Die.
Oh, yeah? How'd you like the ending?
You know, I'm not even going to even begin any type of spoiler talk. So no, I'm not going to be throwing up spoiler tags or anything like that. But I will say, when I walked out of the theater, Kevin and I went to see it. Longtime fans know Kevin from SCOP and Pro Noobs. I said, I love it, but I hate it, but I love it. And it was it was such a reaction. I, di- I didn't know um, which emotion to lean into. So, oh, and a week later, I'm still not sure. So that's my reaction.
Yeah. Well, there was one movie that I saw fairly recently that I've got to say I was so excited about that I was so underwhelmed by.
Hmm.
Candyman.
I kept hearing things.
It, it's got its following. It does have its following, but you know what? It's been out long enough. If you have not seen Candyman yet, then it's on you. But
I've never seen a Candyman movie.
the first one was good. I liked the first one. It wasn't phenomenal, but it was one of those movies where it really touched on, I guess, what do you call it? Like just like the racial injustice and everything else. Oh, what do you call it? Oh god, so, gentrification, uh, all this stuff. And it ends with this woman, Helen, who's like she's like the final girl of the movie, trying to save a baby that Candyman kidnaps to sacrifice. Tony Todd's Candyman, who's like this ghost. You say his name in the mirror 3 times, and he shows up and he slaughters you or whatever the deal is. Um, in this one, he is pretty much he's sees Helen as, I guess, like a reincarnation of his long lost love from like the 1800s. So all this goes down. She goes into this bonfire that Candyman sets, like with the baby in it. She rescues the baby, but she dies because of her injuries. And this is again the original Candyman. If you've not seen this movie from 1993, sorry. If you want to sit there and be like, "Oh my god, he's spoiling this movie for me," it's from 1993, guys. So the new one is a direct sequel to that one, where the protagonist, Candyman, has now become like a cult of followers, like a religion of sorts. And what do you call it? Like in this religion? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Okay. So my phone froze up, so I didn't know if I was still on the show here. So it's turned into more of a religion. So Tony Todd, he's not even like I heard all this stuff like, oh, he's coming back as Candyman. Like, oh, that's amazing. The guy, but 1993, like, how many years ago was that? Like, I mean, you're talking about like almost 30 years ago. Like, he's in his like late 60s now, I believe, late 60s, early 70s, somewhere around there. So it's like, and he looked good. He looks good for his age, but he doesn't look like he did like almost 30 years ago. So now I'm curious. I assume that they're going to have to, since he's like an immortal ghost figure, they're going to have to obviously do like the CGI stuff for his face. But they're not. They didn't do that. Almost the entire movie, Candyman is a different character. Not a like not like a different actor playing Tony Todd's character, but a different character from the movie all in itself, who has become a Candyman. So I hated that part. Absolutely hated it. And then at the very end of this movie, yeah, spoiler alert from a movie that came out like a month and a half ago, guys. At the very end of this movie, this guy's girlfriend is sitting in the back of a squad car, and these cops are trying to plan, like, they killed her boyfriend, the lead protagonist of this movie. They shoot him and kill him, and they're trying to plan like their next move, how they're going to cover this up. And so she says Candyman 3 times into the cop's mirror. the rearview mirror. And so Candyman shows up, but Candyman is this guy that they just executed. But now all these bees are whizzing around his head because bees are like a staple for Candyman. When he was a slave, he had his arm sawed off, got covered in honey, and he died of his wounds and the bee stings and everything else. So these bees are buzzing around his head, and then slowly his face turns into a CGI version of Tony Todd's from like 1993. And he says, "Tell everyone." I'm like, well, shit. Like, you've been around for 30 years now. I think people know you exist. Like, people at this point, they have to know. Don't go to the mirror and say Candyman 3 times, otherwise you're going to die. Like, I mean, there's an entire group of girls in a high school that are slaughtered in the bathroom for saying Candyman 3 times in a mirror. I mean, it was so underwhelming. I was so disappointed. I wasn't expecting like an Oscar award-worthy film, but I was expecting something, better than that. Halloween Kills is going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, you can watch it on Peacock now, right?
Yes, sir. I'll be watching that either tonight when Danielle falls asleep, or I'll be watching it sometime tomorrow.
Now, my history with the Halloween movies is a little iffy at best. I've seen the first one. I've seen the third one.
Season of the Witch?
Yeah.
Yep.
It was one of the movies that we watched for Cinema du Fromage. Another wonderful podcast featuring my voice. Let's see. I've seen Halloween H2O. And I think that's it.
Yeah. Well, with this new series, it pretty much cuts out every single sequel in the Halloween franchise. So you have what do you call it? It goes from Halloween from 1977, 78, I think, somewhere in there. It goes from the original Halloween. It cuts out Halloween 2, where Jamie Lee Curtis is in the hospital with Mike Myers and all that stuff. He's her brother, she's his sister stuff. That's all cut out. It goes to what do you call it? It goes straight to Halloween from 2 years ago. But what do you call it? It goes through all this stuff. And then Halloween Kills comes right after this Halloween from I think 2018. So it really it just cancels out like damn near like 40 years of sequels. It was amazing. Like, I mean, it's like, I love how they did it. It cracks me up though because Jamie Lee Curtis came back as Laurie Strode for H2O, and then she died in Halloween Resurrection. Now she came back for Laurie Strode in this one. Which, I mean, if you're to watch all the Halloween movies, excluding Rob Zombie's films, if you're to watch all the Halloween movies and then watch Halloween from 2018, then Halloween Kills, you'd be so damn confused. Like, if you didn't know that was cutting out all those, all those sequels and everything else. Trust me, my Halloween knowledge is way up there because Halloween's like my favorite horror franchise. It gets really campy and really stupid, but...
Read the comments, Brandon.
I cannot. My phone is frozen up. What do they say? Read them to me.
Okay, Amber says the granddaughter will have the same link as Denise did in 4 and Doc Limos, and she will finally kill him in the final film. Calling it now.
Okay. See, I already had a few spoilers given to me for the Halloween Kills one, so I know who makes it out and who doesn't. But
Amber follows us up with, She did not die in Resurrection. She killed the paramedic.
No. She killed a paramedic in H2O. At the end of H2O, she killed a paramedic, thinking it was Michael Myers. And they only added that because they didn't know if they were going to make a sequel. And then in Halloween Resurrection, she's in that the mental institution where Mike Myers follows her in there. She leads him to the roof. She straps him. She leads him to a trap with like a rope kind of around the foot trap. He's hanging over the side of a building. This man is chasing after you with a knife. With a damn knife. He is coming after you trying to kill you. He already killed a few people on his way up there. But he's coming for you. And of course, what does she do? Mike Myers, he grabs his head like, oh my God, like, like same thing that the paramedic did at the end of H2O. He grabs his head, like, just like, oh my God, like, the mask is on him, like, whatever, like, you can't pull off a damn latex mask or whatever the deal is. So Laurie Strode, her ingenious idea, a woman who's been preparing to battle Mike Myers for decades, she leans off the side of the building and says, I just have to be sure. And she goes to pull off his mask, which of course he grabs her, the rope thing falls, he catches her the building and he stabs her through the stomach. She kisses him on she kisses the mask on the lips, and for whatever reason, and says, I'll see you in hell. And then she falls to her death. Laurie Strode died in Resurrection, but then when the new Halloween came out, they retconned all those movies all the way back to Halloween 1. They took out Halloween 2 through Halloween Resurrection. Which, I mean, isn't a bad thing. Halloween 4 and 5 revolves around Jamie. What do you call it? Laurie Strode's daughter, who Laurie Strode apparently died in a car accident. We cut to H2O. Jamie dies at the hands of Michael Myers in what do you call it? The Curse of Michael Myers, Halloween 5. In H2O, we find out that Laurie Strode faked a car accident years ago. Like, you heartless bitch.
All right, there's some
poor daughter.
Here. Amber says that's right, but she jumped from the window and was never found. They show a glimpse of her body, then she's gone. And then finally, Amber says, you may need to rewatch them. They are on all month long.
I don't think I can sit through Halloween Resurrection again. Like, I mean, we didn't need Busta Rhymes going all kung fu on Michael Myers. Like, we didn't need Busta Rhymes. I like Busta Rhymes, but we didn't need him in a Halloween movie. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those deals where I love the franchise, The Curse of Michael Myers, and honestly, Halloween 4 through 6 rather. I'm sorry, Halloween 4 through 6. There are so many questions when they decided to make it all supernatural with like a curse. The Curse of Thorn. It lost me entirely. I remember seeing these when I was a kid, and like the first Halloween scared the shit out of me. The second Halloween, like, okay. Halloween 5, he's beating like Paul Rudd is beating Michael Myers with like a pipe, and all of a sudden you have like this green stuff coming out of his eyes and whatnot. I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, I know slime was a big thing back in the 90s, but I didn't understand it. I mean, let's be fair. I mean, honestly, after Halloween 2, Dr. Loomis blows up that whole section of the hospital, and you have Michael Myers laying there with flames pouring out of the mask. You'd assume he died there. It's one of those deals. Like, I mean, it's really hard to, I don't know, follow for me. A lot of it. But I enjoy them because, it's Halloween. It's like Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, I mean, I absolutely enjoyed all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies except for the remake with Jackie Earl Hartley. Is that his name? Right?
You're asking me?
Yeah. Yeah, the 5 foot Freddy that we got in the remake. It's like he's not scary. He's cute.
I thought it was going to be bad.
And no, it was. It was horrible. But I mean, it's like you have a 5 foot tall Freddy, and it's like he had none of the charisma that Robert Englund brought to the character for years.
Just quick insert.
And it's like, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
And well, first
I should stop. I'm going about horror films all day long.
Remake sucked.
Yep.
And yes, that is who did the remake. If you're a fan of the movies that made us, one of the episodes in the new season, which just dropped, is about A Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's like always with this show. It was very interesting.
Oh, I'll definitely check that out. Like, because you mentioned that movie to me earlier, that show earlier today to me. So I'm gonna have to watch it.
It's an amazing show.
No, there we go. I can actually see the chats now. I don't know what the hell's going on with my phone. Amber, I'm sorry. I'm not ignoring any of your messages, any of your chats here at all. My phone is just freezing up for periods at a time here. But yeah, it's like, I mean, and there are certain remakes. You know my stance on remakes. I hate them. But there have been a few that came out horror related that I thought were brilliantly done. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2003. That was kind of hard for me to watch at times. It was pretty graphic, but I enjoyed it. Friday the 13th. It has a very mixed reception with horror fans. I enjoyed it. It wrapped up the first 3 movies in one movie. And I thought it did a great job. Like, at least like with Jason's evolution. But yeah, like A Nightmare on Elm Street, even Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween. I actually greatly enjoyed Rob Zombie's Halloween. But did I watch the TV show Nightmare on Elm Street? Yes, yeah, that's where they were like more like the tales of yeah. I've watched that show. I love the episode of the Nightmare on Elm Street TV show where it showed his trial, and you have Freddy Krueger inside of like this chamber of sorts on the stand, and when they find him innocent due to something not being signed in the right place, he's not even wearing like a prison jumpsuit. He's wearing his classic red and green sweater, khakis, boots, everything. Like, he just showed up in court, walked into that chamber and sat down and whatever. He just came from home. He gets up, grabs his little like fedora, pops on his head, and walks right out the courtroom. I'm like, well, that's not how things are done. I know a thing or two. I've been to court. Usually happens after you're arrested, if it's especially for something heinous. But yeah, it's like it's I don't know. Like I said, I could go on about horror films all day, but Halloween Kills, I'm excited about it. I love how they humanized Michael Myers again. It was cool to see Jamie Lee Curtis blow half his hand off with a shotgun, and then see the still shots in the trailer where Michael Myers has like this makeshift bandage around his hand. He is only human. It's better than like how they turn him into the Curse of Thorns victim, whatever. And honestly, even then, I've got to say, I know that you have like a limited amount of knowledge with Halloween, Josh, because like it's just not really your thing. But there's a baby in Curse of Michael Myers. This baby is the son of Mike's niece, Jamie, of whom, canonically speaking, Michael Myers is the father. Now, I don't think that Michael Myers willingly gave a sperm sample, so there's only really one other way that she conceived that child, if you think about it. So apparently incest and Michael Myers getting freaky deaky with his niece is... I'm kind of happy they retconned that shit. This is something I didn't notice until I was older. So, Amber, yes, I played the NES game and I threw it against the wall. I now play the NES game of Nightmare on Elm Street since I was about like in my 20s, and I finally beat it, and I was surprisingly very underwhelmed by it.
Did you play the NES game of Friday the 13th?
I did, and I beat that. You can actually Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Jaws. You can actually beat those in about 5 minutes. Well, not like 15 minutes. They're not like really long games. Once you actually like know where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do, pretty easy to beat. LJN sucks ass when it comes to their video games. But
that Friday the 13th game is one of 2 video games that ever legitimately scared me.
What? Not like I got scared from that game when I was a little kid playing it for the first time in a dark room while my mom and my dad were sleeping.
The music set the tone, and then whenever Jason shows up, it's like, ah! Because
you know what we need though?
What?
We need what they did for the Friday the 13th game. Now, the new one that came out a few years back. It's not a great game. It has its issues. But we need that. But we need it for Freddy Krueger. We need it for Chucky. We need like horror video games, like from the actual movie characters. I would love to see even like a Hellraiser video game. Because we got Saw, and Saw like video games to me, like the newer games to me, it's like TV shows to me. It has to be something that really catches my attention. Saw was loaded with puzzles, like like the movies are. So the Saw game sucked me right the hell in. I played that game for I think like 2 days straight on an Xbox 360 back in like 2011 when I lived with like 2 of my friends.
You've never
played it for 2 days straight.
You've never heard of Dead by Daylight?
No, I played. I know Dead by Daylight. I'm just saying, it's just like I want to see like the really like the classic like the slasher games. That's what I want to see. Like the iconic, like Chucky, Freddy Krueger. Most we got Freddy Krueger so far was in Mortal Kombat. But
in like I said, in Dead by Daylight, they have Michael Myers, the cannibal from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, they call him the cannibal. Freddy Krueger.
No, I did not
Jigsaw.
know
that. They have the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. They have Ghostface from Scream. They have dude from Hellraiser.
Which one? Pinhead?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, and you know what? That's one last talking point. Coming away from the video games, that is one thing I recently saw online in regards to Pinhead. Have you ever read any of the books?
No.
That Hellraiser is based on?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, they cast, I forget her name. They cast a woman to play the new Pinhead. And people have been going insane. Going back in the halls, like, oh, well, Hollywood making everything woke. Those damn libs making things woke. I'm thinking, like, well, you guys obviously never read the books. Clive Barker's novels, where he introduced Pinhead and the other Cenobites. Pinhead was pretty much like God, what's the word I'm looking for? Androgynous, right?
Like it's Pat.
Pretty much, yeah. And like so you couldn't tell if Pinhead was a man or woman. But like listed, if I remember right, it's been like 20 years since I read this book. I was like, like in my late teens when I read it. But they're scary as hell. But yeah, it's like Pinhead was androgynous and like had a very soft voice, very like feminine features and everything else. Described, if I remember right, like something as like a beautiful horror. I'm thinking like so like I've read these books. I'm like that's not the Pinhead I know. Like Doug Bradley's not a beautiful horror. He's not a bad-looking middle-aged dude, but like he wasn't bad-looking, but he wasn't like beautiful. But so I was thinking about this, like, okay, well that's pretty cool. They're bringing back as I'm reading this article, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And I see all these comments and like the optimistic side of me is like, oh, you know what? There's a lot of people here that read the novel. They're chiming in like it's about time that we get like a real Pinhead. Like, oh, let me look at this. Oh, wait, nope. Like, I forgot his Facebook.
No, they're here to complain. That's about it.
No, Amber, you're absolutely right. Like in the in book 4, you find out that Pinhead is in fact a male. But it's just like the way they introduce Pinhead. I would actually go so far as to compare like how they describe Pinhead to Alucard in the Castlevania series, and like the animated show, like where he's, it's a guy, but Alucard's a beautiful bastard. Like, I mean, if I were to go gay for a cartoon character, it would definitely be Alucard. But it's just like this very devil may care attitude and everything else, just whatever. But so I was excited about that, and I'm thrilled to see how they go about executing this character. More so what they do, and my phone's frozen again. More so what they do with if they were to carry it over into future stories. So, but anyway, I think it's about that time. I'm going to have to like wrap this up because I got to go inside here.
Okay.
I've got like one night off this week, so got to spend that with the homegirl.
Well, you can call me anything you want, but that was not expected.
Oh, sweetheart. You're always going to be right there next to Count Chocula. My Ghostbusters cereal that I just finally got my hands on. My dog.
Congratulations.
Oh no! Thank you. It's disgusting, but I have a box. That's the important thing. So, but either way, yeah. I say we just go ahead and wrap this up, and then since we got our like half hour out the way of how we're handling our new formats.
Well, if people want to reach out to us and, tell us how they feel about the new format for the show, where can people do that with you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, bjacksman82, and you'll also find us on Instagram under the WADcast. You'll find that because it'll be our logo. It will not be the same as you see on Facebook for right now. Our Instagram logo is the classic black format with a white banner that says WADcast in it. So you'll be able to see us on there, or you can find us on Facebook, where you're seeing this live feed post up on the Facebook page. If you're not on our Facebook page, listen to this live feed, then you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/the WADcast. Right now, it's a banner, I believe, for for cancer awareness. Yeah, so that's where you can find us, and all of our hijinks and everything else. I will start writing articles and posting them to the WADcast page. So if you guys would like to have a talking point, or if you yourselves are aspiring journalists and you have something you want to discuss or get off your chest in regards to writers, actors, directors, or anything in between, you're welcome to write an article about it and send it over to us, and we'll make sure it lines up with what we want to put out there. And if it is, then we will be more than happy to post it up on our page for you. Give you full writing credit, of course, and even discuss it on the show. So, but yeah, that's where you can find us. Josh, what about you?
Well, as always, you can find me on Twitter at SkidComic. It's a household name. Basically, if you can sign up anywhere with a name, I've always used the name SkidComic. So check it out. And yes, go to the Facebook page for the WADcast so you can see this show done live every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Join in the conversation like so many of our good friends and loved ones have tonight. It's really a blast.
Okay.
I have the link to the short film that I was in, done by Henry R. Nader, Disunity. Henry R. Nader's Disunity, a love story. That's the full title. So check that out. You can see me acting. Boy, the weight that I put on just for this role. It was something else. Thank you for not laughing. But you know what? No matter how much things change, there are some things that are just gonna kind of stay the same, like not being able to find the right banner when I need it. There we go. No matter how much things change, there's going to be some things that stay the same. For instance, our final thoughts. Because it's going to be the same as always. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. No matter what it is that you're wanting to create, there's no better time than here, no better time than now. No better place than here, no better time than now. See? Totally messed things up. Anyway, do it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't, because you can. If you want to make a movie, you got a phone, right? If you want to do a podcast, you got a phone, right? If you want to make a song, you got a phone, right? Basically, technology is so democratized these days. No matter what it is that you're wanting to do, chances are the tool to do it is right in your hands. So take advantage of this wondrous future that we live in and do it. Stop getting in your own way. All right, this has been the WADcast, episode number 64. I'm Josh, that's Brandon. We will be here next week for episode number 65. What are we going to talk about? I don't know, but we hope you'll join us for it. Thanks, everybody, for stopping in, and have a great week.
All right, see you, everybody.